Welcome everybody. We are discussing the chapter Structural Organization in Animals. This is chapter 7 of class 11th biology. Today we are going to discuss the part 5 of this chapter. This is the last portion of this chapter. Let us see what we have already discussed. We have already discussed epithelial tissue, connective tissue, and under connective tissue, we have already discussed connective tissue proper, skeletal connective tissue, vascular tissue. And today we'll discuss the two other type of tissue, that is muscular tissue and nervous tissue. So in my first session, I have already told you there are four types of tissue in our body. That is epithelial tissue, connective tissue, muscular tissue and nervous tissue. So we have already discussed the types of epithelial tissue, connective tissue, and today we will be discussing the muscular tissue and the nervous tissue. So let us start with muscle tissue. Muscle tissue is made up of long excitable cells or muscle fibers. The muscle cells are called muscle fibers, and the speciality of this cell is that they can undergo contraction. No other cell can undergo contraction. So this is the speciality of the muscle cell. Next, the muscular tissue carries out mechanical work since it is able to contract. So contract means what? The shortening and thickening of the cell. The cell means it is the muscle fiber. The muscle fiber is itself called the muscle cell. So contraction means shortening and thickening. So since it can undergo shortening and thickening or the contraction, so it can carry out mechanical work. And regarding the composition, chemical composition of the muscle fiber, it is composed of two proteins, that is actin and myosin. Very important. Okay. So actin and myosin are part of the machinery, the muscle fiber, and ATP is the intermediate energy source for the contraction. So when the cell is contracting, it requires energy. So the source of energy is ATP. So what is the composition of muscle? Actin and myosin protein, which are highly contractile protein, and besides that large amount of mitochondria are present in the muscle cell. As we go ahead, we will discuss about that, which releases ATP, and that ATP helps in contraction of the muscle. Now, on the basis of structure, location and function, muscles are of three types. That is skeletal muscle, smooth muscle and cardiac muscle. So before that, before discussing the three types of muscle, let us see the structure of a muscle. So here in details I have given the structure of a muscle. So here you can see that this is a muscle fiber. The covering of as in a cell, the plasma membrane is present. Similarly, the membrane of or the plasma membrane of the muscle fiber is called sarcolemma. Very important, children. Just remember the terms which I am discussing here. So the covering of the muscle fiber or muscle fiber is a cell. So the membrane or the plasma membrane, you can say the plasma membrane of the muscle fiber is called sarcolemma. Okay. Then the cytoplasm is called sarcoplasm. The cytoplasm is called sarcoplasm. Now you can see that this is the cell. This is a single muscle cell, and this muscle cell is called myofibril or muscle fiber. Okay. Now this muscle fiber, what are the special things? The very important thing that I am only telling you. So the muscle fiber or the muscle cell consists of a large number of endoplasmic reticulum. So here you can see these are the endoplasmic reticulum present in the muscle fiber. And here are the mitochondria. So here you can see large number of mitochondria and endoplasmic reticulums are present. The endoplasmic reticulum is called sarcoplasmic reticulum. Very, very important. The endoplasmic reticulum present in the muscle fiber is called sarcoplasmic reticulum. Okay. Now next you can see the mitochondria. The yellow color structures are the mitochondria. And besides that, you can see that these are the these parts you can see my cursor is there. So these are the transverse tubules of the endoplasmic reticulum or the sarcoplasmic reticulum. And these are the here you can see these are the terminal cisternae. These are the terminal cisternae. Then here the transfer tubules are there. Okay. Then you can see that because it is a cell, so it has a nucleus. Then if you see it under high resolution, you can see that it consists of thick and thin filaments. Thick and thin filaments present alternately. So that's why it appears that it consists of light and dark bands. Okay, light and dark bands. And here you can see one leveling is there, that is sarcomere. Okay, so there is a chapter muscle contraction in your class 11th only. So in while discussing muscle contraction, we'll discuss about the detailed structure of this sarcomere and what is its function and how it functions and how it helps in the muscle contraction. So for the time being, let me tell you that sarcomere is the functional unit of the muscle. Very, very important, children. Sarcomere is the smallest contractile unit of a muscle cell. So here on the in the green box I have written. So sarcomeres are the smallest contractile unit of a muscle. Very, very important, children. So you have to remember what are the important things I have told you. The muscle cell is called muscle fiber or myofibril. The plasma membrane is called sarcolemma. The endoplasmic reticulums are called sarcoplasmic reticulum. The if you take the section of a muscle fiber, you can see the thick and thin filament. The functional unit of a muscle fiber is called sarcomere. Okay. And rest that is Z disc, M line, those things will discuss in the muscle contraction chapter. Okay. So this is the structure of a skeletal muscle because the skeletal muscle is the muscle because of which we can move our body parts, we can locomote. So that's why the structure of skeletal muscle is given here. Okay. Now we'll discuss different types of muscle tissue. So as I said that skeletal muscle, then your smooth muscle and the cardiac muscle. So let us start the skeletal muscle tissue. The skeletal muscle tissue is closely attached to the skeletal bone. That's why it is called skeletal muscle. And it controls the motor movement and posture. So our posture is due to the attachment of the skeletal muscle to the bones. Okay, and they control the motor movement. Motor movement means what? Suppose say I think that I want to move my hand, okay, or bend my fingers. Then it is as per my will. So that comes to my mind. That comes to my brain. Now the brain will instruct the muscles to contract so that the movement of the parts, or you can say the movement, that is particular movement which I have thought about, that is the bending of the fingers will take place. So that means motor means the response given by the, or the instructions given by the brain to the, any muscles. Okay, that is, and because of which the movement is taking place, so it is called motor movement. Okay. Skeletal muscle, as I said, it acts according to our will. If I want, then I can contract the muscle. So it cannot move or it cannot contract itself. Okay. So if we want, then only the contraction of the muscle will take place and we can move from one place to another place, or we can move our body parts. So this is called voluntary in nature. Very, very important. Skeletal muscles are voluntary in nature. The next important thing is that the skeletal muscles are known as striated muscle because they have the cells of this muscle have transverse stripes. As I have shown you here, the light and dark ones are there, the transverse stripes are there. So it is called striated muscles. And what is the location of this muscle? They are found in arms, hands, legs, body wall, tongue, and upper part of the pharynx. There are two types of fibers for skeletal muscles, like slow twitch, that is the red muscle fiber, and other is white muscle fiber, which is having fast twitch and slow twitch. Okay, so what is this? I will tell you in details. The muscles are stimulated by acetylcholine. Very, very important. So when the nerve is supplied to the nerve fiber, which is supplied to the muscle fiber, sends the stimulus to the muscle by releasing a chemical or a neurotransmitter that is called acetylcholine. Okay. Now let me tell you what are the different types of muscle fibers, skeletal muscle fiber. The skeletal muscle fibers are of two types, that is red muscle fiber, which is called type 1 muscle fiber, and white muscle fiber, which is called as type 2 muscle fiber. Now, what are the difference between these two types of muscle fiber? The red muscle fibers are thin fibers, whereas the white muscle fibers are thick fibers. Okay. So fiber means here it is the cell. Okay. The cell, muscle cell. Then in a red muscle fiber, the myoglobin is present, whereas in white muscle fiber, myoglobin is absent. Let me tell you what is myoglobin. Myoglobin is a protein that is carries the oxygen. Myoglobin carries a oxygen, or we can say that it functions like the hemoglobin, or we can say the analogous structure of hemoglobin present in the muscle to carry the oxygen is called myoglobin. So these myoglobins are absent in case of white muscle fibers. The next difference is that the red muscle fiber are very powerful because they get more energy, more oxygen supply and more energy due to presence of more mitochondria. But the white muscle fibers are having fewer number of mitochondria. The red muscle fiber has that is a slow twitch. Slow twitch means the small contraction. The small contraction is called twitch. So the contraction is slow. Whereas in white muscle fiber, the contraction is very fast. Then in case of red muscle fiber, the fatigue develops slowly. What is fatigue? Let me tell you. Decreasing in capacity of contraction. Decrease in contraction capacity is called fatigue. So this fatigue develops very slowly. That means the red muscle undergo fatigue very slowly, whereas white muscle undergo fatigue very rapidly. Okay. Then let me tell you the location. The flight muscles in kite and back muscles in human are the red muscle fibers. And the white muscle fibers are located in the flight muscles in house sparrow and eyelid muscles in human. Okay. So these are the basic differences between red muscle fiber and white muscle fiber. I hope it is clear to you. The next, let me tell you when I have uttered a term twitch, then I have to tell you what is twitch. Twitch means the small contraction. Okay. So first, the two types of twitch. One is fast twitch, other is slow twitch. Fast twitch means the muscle contracts quickly, so it tires easily. It gets tired. The slow twitch means the muscle contracts slowly, so it tires slowly. Okay. So here we can say that in case of fast twitch, the contraction unit is very small, or you can say the sarcomere is very small, whereas in slow twitch the contraction unit is long. Okay, then I have already told you the first twitch takes place in white muscle, and they have fewer mitochondria, less myoglobin, and composes of small muscles like eyes, hands, etc. But slow twitch, it is slow twitch fibers, muscle fibers having more mitochondria, they are red muscles having more myoglobin, and they are present in the muscles of the legs, back, etc. Okay. The next, we have let us discuss the second type of muscle tissue, that is smooth muscle tissue. The cells of the smooth muscle tissue are spindle shaped and pointed at their ends. I'll show you the picture so that it will be clear to you. And here the striations like the light band, dark band, or you can say the thick and thin filaments are absent. Okay. So, and the cell junctions hold them together. That means the muscle cells are very close to each other, and these muscle cells, that is, I have told you about a junction while discussing the epithelial tissue. The tight junction is there because of which they are very tightly packed with each other. And the whole muscle bundle is covered by a connective tissue sheath. Okay. So the whole muscles are covered by a sheath. Then the now what are the location of this tissue? The wall of the internal organs like blood vessels, stomach, intestine, these are all consist of the smooth muscle tissue. Smooth muscles are involuntary muscles. Involuntary means they are not under the control of our will. They can contract without our will, so they don't need our will like the skeletal muscles, and they can contract continuously as and when required by our body. Okay, as per the requirement of our body, not as per the requirement of our own will. Okay, then smooth muscles may be multi-unit. They may form many units or single units. Multi-unit smooth muscles are present in ciliary muscles, wall of large arteries, and single unit, they form single unit in alimentary canal, urinary bladder, uterus, oviducts, etc. So this is the location of the smooth muscle tissue. Now, let us see the picture. So here you can see that the first type is your smooth muscle. You can see that each cell is spindle shaped, which are forming a bundle. Okay, and they are non-striated. You cannot see the light and dark bands in that. So I am showing you the with the help of this cursor. So there is no light and dark bands, and they are combined together to form a bundle. Okay, so and they are involuntary in action. But in case of the skeletal muscle, which I have already discussed, you can see the striations are there. You can see the transverse lines are there in these muscles. So they are the that is the difference between smooth muscle and the skeletal muscle. Then here more clear picture is there. So here you can see this is a smooth muscle. The last one is smooth muscles which are spindle shaft with tapering ends, and that is present in the internal organs. Here I have shown you the picture. And then skeletal muscle, you can see the the cross striations or the white and dark bands are there, and they are attached to the skeletal muscle. Then the third type muscle we are going to discuss is the cardiac muscle. The cardiac muscles are similar to the skeletal muscle, but the difference that structurally they may be somehow similar to skeletal muscle, but they are different functionally. And the most important difference is that the cardiac muscles are branched. This is very very important. The skeletal muscle and the cardiac muscles are having both are having the light and dark band, but the cardiac muscle is branched. Okay, so this is the main structural difference between skeletal muscle and cardiac muscle. Now let us discuss the cardiac muscle tissue in details. Cardiac muscles are involuntary, that means they are not under the control of our will. They have cross striations, as I said that the light and dark bands are there. You can see here in the picture, and they are non-fatigued fibers. That means the contraction ability of this muscle never decreases. So it contracts till death. And fibers of these muscles contain large number of mitochondria because it requires lots of energy to contract throughout the life, and they are richly supplied with blood because they require large amount of oxygen. Cardiac muscle tissue is a contractile tissue present only in the heart, and it forms the myocardium. It forms the myocardium. The cardiac muscle, cardiac structure means heart. The cardiac muscle never get fatigued, as I said, because it rests and work for equal duration. So there is a misconception that the muscle of the heart never take rest. But when we discuss the topic, the cardiac cycle, that time we will discuss that how the heart muscle take rest for a very little movement, then it works continuously. Cardiac muscle tissue has no regenerative capacity. So this muscle cannot regenerate. Like skeletal tissue can regenerate. The smooth muscle can regenerate. The skeletal muscle can regenerate. The smooth muscle can regenerate. But the cardiac muscles once get damaged, it cannot regenerate. So here another picture of three types of muscles. So here you can see the first one is the skeletal muscle having striation, light and dark bands are there, and then the spindle shaft smooth muscles. Then cardiac muscles are also having striations, but the difference between skeletal and cardiac muscle is that the cardiac muscles are branched. Let us see at a glance the comparison between skeletal, cardiac and smooth muscles. Regarding the location, the skeletal muscles are attached to the bones, cardiac muscles are present in the heart, and smooth muscles constitute the internal organs and the skin. Then regarding the shape of the cell or the tissue, they are elongated and cylindrical. The skeletal tissue are, the cardiac tissue are branched. The smooth tissue or smooth muscles are spindle shaped. Then regarding the nucleus, the skeletal muscle is having several peripherally located nuclei. That means it is multinucleated. But in case of cardiac muscle, a single centrally located nucleus is present. Then in smooth muscle also a single nucleus is present. Then regarding the striation or the light and dark bands, the skeletal muscles are striated, cardiac muscles are also striated, but smooth muscles are non-striated. Then let us discuss the function, the movement. It helps in movement of the bone because it is attached to the skeleton. So the skeletal muscle helps in movement of the bone and heat production. As it moves, it produces heat. Then cardiac muscle helps in beating of the heart. The smooth muscle helps in movement of the visceral organs. Okay. Then control, the skeletal muscle is voluntary. That means it is under the control of our will. The cardiac muscles are involuntary and smooth muscles are also involuntary because they are not working as per our will. So these differences are very very important, children. While going through the video, please pause this particular slide and go through this and listen to me whatever I am saying. Then the fourth type of tissue, nervous tissue. The nervous tissue is found in brain, spinal cord and nerves. That is the nervous system. And it is responsible for coordinating and controlling all the body activities. The nervous tissue is specialized to react to the stimuli. Whenever any stimuli is given, then the nerve fiber takes the stimuli to the brain or spinal cord, and the spinal cord directs the nerve fibers. The nerve fibers again carry the responses to the target organs and the target organ act accordingly. So in this way, the functions of the different parts of the body are coordinated and controlled by our nervous system. The cells of the nervous tissue are called nerve cells or neurons, and it is also the nervous system consists of not only the neuron, it is also composed of supporting cells. But we'll discuss in details about the nerve cells. Here you can see the picture of a nerve cell which constitutes the nerve fiber, brain and the spinal cord. It is the major type of cell that constitutes the your nervous tissue system. Okay, so here you can see this is a single nerve fiber. This nerve fiber is having a cell body that is called cyton. The cell body is called cyton. The cyton is containing a large number of mitochondria and small granules called Nissel's granules. These Nissel's granules provide nutrients. Okay. Then next you can see there is centrally placed nucleus is there. Then from the cell body, several branched structures are developed. They are called dendrons, and the dendrons are having the branches that is called dendrites. And there is a single long outgrowth from the cell body that is called axon. So from the cell body, many small branched fibers are developed, fiber-like structures are developed, that is called dendrites, and a single sometimes branched structure is developed that is called axon. Okay, so this you can see that in the axon is covered by a sheath. That sheath is called myelin sheath. I'll tell you that what is myelin sheath. And myelin sheath is actually composed of fat and protein. Fat and protein sheath. And the function of myelin sheath is quick transmission of the impulse. Quick transmission of the impulse. But this myelin sheath is not present in all the nerve fibers, but in maximum nerve fiber it is present. So, basing on the presence or absence of the myelin sheath, the nerve fibers are of two types, that is myelinated nerve fiber and non-myelinated nerve fiber. So, I will tell you the difference between these two in my next slide. Okay. Now, this myelin sheath covers the axon, and below that covering, the Schwann cells are present. There is a specific type of cell that is called Schwann cells are present, and this is the nucleus of the Schwann cell. Okay, and in between the, see, this myelin sheath is not a continuous sheath which covers the axon, but at certain places there is no myelin sheath. You can see these are the places where there is no myelin sheath. So this is called node of Ranvier. Okay, so this is the nerve ending. This is called nerve ending. The dendron receives the carry the impulse into the stimuli into the cyton. Then the cyton sends the stimulus to the other nerve fiber through the axon. So I have already discussed these things. Please go through this. The neuron forms the structural and functional unit of the nervous tissue. Neurons are the largest cell in our body. Very, very important. Neurons consist of large cell body. I have already told you that is called cyton or soma, and thin protoplasmic process that is called dendrites, and a long process called axon. I have already told you, shown you in the picture. And the supporting cells that is called glial cells that binds neurons together and insulate the neuron. So in between the neurons, see the neurons also form, they present together, and there is a supporting cells which binds the nerve cells together, that is called glial cells. Very, very important. And the supporting cells present in central nervous system is divided into neuroglia, ependymal cells, and neurosecretory cells. So these glial cells are of different types, that is neuroglial cells, ependymal cells, and neurosecretory cells. Now what is the difference between axon and dendron? The axon takes information away from the cell body. The dendrite brings the information to the cell body. The axon has smooth surface, whereas dendron has rough surface because of the presence of dendritic spine. Some spine-like outgrowths are present. The axon is generally one per cell, but dendrons are many per cell. In axon, there is no ribosome, but dendrons have ribosomes. Axons can have myelin sheath. I have shown you the myelinated sheath is there, but in dendron there is no myelin insulation. Axon may be branched further to form the cell body, another nerve cell, but the dendrites branches near the cell body, but it cannot form another cell body. So this is the here in this picture I am showing you the myelinated nerve fiber and non-myelinated nerve fiber. So this is myelinated nerve fiber. Here you can see the myelin sheath is there, and that myelin sheath in the myelin sheath the Schwann cells are present. Okay. So and actually this sheath composed of protein and fat, and which helps in easy transmission or rapid transmission of the information. But here, in contrary, you can see this is a nerve fiber where there is no myelin sheath. Okay. So now let us see what is the difference between myelinated and non-myelinated nerve fiber. In myelinated fiber, axons are larger in diameter due to presence of myelin sheath. But in unmyelinated nerve fiber, axons are smaller diameter. In myelin sheath, axon surrounded by concentric layer of Schwann cells. I have already shown you in the picture, but such cells are absent. Okay, so absent in which is absent in dendrite. But here you can see that in myelinated sheath, the Schwann cells are concentric, whereas in non-myelinated sheath, the it is the action is surrounded by the cytoplasm of Schwann cells, or you can say the few Schwann cells are present. Then myelinated sheath is responsible for saltatory conduction, but there is no saltatory conduction in action. Saltatory conduction means since in case of myelin sheath, myelinated nerve fiber, the node of Ranvier is there, so the impulse jumps from one node to another node. This is called saltatory conduction. But here in action there is no myelin sheath, so no node of Ranvier, so no jumping of stimuli or impulses. So there is no saltatory conduction. Then the other differences, whatever given here, will be discussed in your conduction of nerve impulse chapter. Otherwise, we cannot understand here unless we go into the details of the nerve fiber, ionic distribution in the nerve fiber. So, other differences, that is fourth onwards, I am not discussing the differences, even though I have given it here. but I'll discuss while discussing the chapter conduction of nerve impulse. Okay. So these are the supporting cells, the types of glial cells I have told you. So the details I am not telling you, but you should know what are the supporting cells. So you know that we have a central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. Central nervous system composed of spinal cord and brain, so which composed of along with the neurons, they contain microglial and ependymal cell, astrocytes, and oligodendrocyte cells. Okay. Peripheral nervous system means the nerve fibers which are arised from the brain and spinal cord, composed of the neuron, along with which the supporting cells are satellite cells and Schwann cells. Okay. So this is all about the muscle cells and the nerve cells, and I hope it is clear to you, and many new information I have given to you. So wherever you find difficulty, you just pause the video and go through the video again and again, so that your concept will be clear very nicely. I have explained it in each and every concept. Even then, if you have any doubt, you can ask me in the comment section. And thank you for watching the video till end, and this is the end of this chapter. Thank you once again.